blah about gambling if you're losing.
Definitely losing. All right, welcome to a nature version of the Mr. Irrelevant podcast, taking in the sun and sounds of Central Falls, Rhode Island.
Listen, we are both nature guys. We both
Yes.
appreciate the outdoors, and sometimes the earth is your studio.
That's right, you know.
You might hopefully not hear anything too ratchet. We're on a good street here in the good falls of Rhode Island, so aside from the crickets in the background, there shouldn't be any tomfoolery. Unless there's like a event going on across the street.
Yeah, there's always some type
in
of
which
like
case you'll hear some type of
and one
music.
basketball tournament.
Yeah, you'll hear music blaring at some point shortly. Oh, there was a girl screaming in the background right there. This episode is going to be fantastic.
Oh, I'm gonna love it. I've always been interested at the music choice down there. They play like a lot of Joe Budden, and I'm like, why? Like,
You need to know who the guy running that is.
right? I see Budden Enterprises expanding their reach into hosting basketball tournaments outside of the greater New York City area. All right, so what do you want to get to first here? And I mean, obviously, I'm sure there might be some more things that I didn't get to put on here, so we can kind of free ball. We can take some of this stuff out.
Free ball.
Yeah.
Right now, I think maybe it's best. Let's talk about good old Josh. We were just talking about him beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
It has been quiet out here the whole time we're sitting out here.
Yeah,
We start to record, and now somebody is like fucking vacuuming like 3 houses down with an industrial vacuum.
Yeah, why is that vacuum so loud?
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's good.
Josh Gordon,
Mm-hmm.
deep threat wide receiver, stud. Always seems to not be able to keep his head out of his ass. The poor man was doing a promotional shoot yesterday for a line of clothing, it's been reported, and he pulled his hamstring. The Browns announced they were going to cut him, like almost immediately, and then they backtracked, and they're trying to find a trade for him. This is ridiculous. So I think there's no way that they're going to get more than maybe, unless it's like really desperate like the Cowboys, like Jerry Jones I imagine would trade like a first round pick for him. Everybody else, I think like the ceiling for him would be a 5th round pick just because of his history. You don't know if he's going to be playing. Granted, he's been very good for a year plus. He's stayed with the NFL's policy on the drugs. He's been taking care of himself, and he's been on the straight and narrow for quite some time. If this was any other player, I don't think they get cut immediately. It's just a stern conversation, but there's only so many stern conversations you can have with Josh Gordon at this point. But if you're the Cleveland Browns, you do not have the authority to be cutting anyone. You can't do it. You're a team. Your head coach has 1 win, 31 losses, and 1 tie in 3 seasons.
This is like their best start since like 04.
Yeah, and you're cutting arguably your most talented player on your roster. Can't have it.
Yeah, I feel like they just kind of feel like they've gotten to a point where they're like, oh, we've done so much for you and stuck by you so much that, you know, I think they just kind of felt like they were at their wits' end. I don't know about announcing that you're planning on releasing him because I feel like that just naturally drives down any offers you're going to get because people are like, the Cowboys of the world and, the Patriots of the world are going to feel like they have really good chances of landing him as an unrestricted free agent, which is what he would be if he was cut. But obviously, I think at this point, the only trade really comes from a team that, really wants to take a flyer on him and feels like they may lose out on him if he is a restricted free agent. And as he, I guess, just said from the alert that we were reading before we went live, that he would like either Cowboys or Niners. And so maybe if the Patriots really feel that they could use him and, they feel good about their locker room, which I've always joked that the Patriots are wide receiver hose, and obviously they always feel good about their locker room and the Patriot way in terms of bringing in, troubled talent, and they've had success with it. So who knows? Maybe the Patriots wind up, going out there and throwing in a fifth or even making it just like purely a conditional pick to say if he, plays any, postseason snaps this year that it turns into a fifth or, whatever. Which, I mean, that wouldn't be, a bad gamble for a team like that to take that opportunity because, again, they've had the track record of being able to bring in guys like that and, keep them on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, and the blaring choice, in my opinion, for him is probably going to be the Dallas Cowboys. It's a classic Jerry Jones move, bringing a guy that's local to Dallas. But the other thing here to me is that how hypocritical would they be if they brought him in? Because they say they got rid of Dez because he was a good locker room guy. And now you're bringing in a guy who's failed the NFL drug test allegedly 46 times and can't keep himself healthy. Your best wide receiver right now in the Dallas Cowboys is like Cole Beasley, which is a tough situation.
Very tough.
They have Cole Beasley, Allen Hurns, and like Michael Gallup. And the only reason Allen Hurns was any good on the Jaguars was because they had like 5 deep threats on that one team. So I think ultimately he ends up with the Cowboys. I'd like to see him in New England, obviously. He's exactly what the doctor ordered. Wide receiver on the cheap. We use him for a year, and then he goes and signs a massive deal somewhere else. But he honestly could be that Randy Moss type of deep threat that the Patriots haven't had in quite some time.
Yeah, and I think even with his talent, I mean, you look at the people that the Pats have brought in recently, the Michael Floyds and stuff like that, where I think those people were, a little bit on the decline. And obviously with Josh Gordon and the amount of time that he spent not playing football, and obviously even just the touchdown that he had last Sunday, again, I think there's room to feel, encouraged about what he could potentially, bring you kind of going forward. And I think the accountability is certainly on him, but, it's the Cleveland Browns franchise as well, and their general lack of organization and structure. And so I do think anywhere he goes would be kind of refreshing and a bit of a fresh start for him.
Yeah, and shout out him and Michael Floyd, because the Patriots signed Michael Floyd after that video came out of him being hammered.
Yeah.
There's no videos of Josh Gordon being hammered floating around right now. So that was one of the all-time most outrageous videos I've ever seen. Just Michael Floyd passed out, hammered, getting pulled over.
Whenever you get videos of that, it's always legendary, like Austin Safarian Jenkins video.
I haven't seen that.
That was prime.
Is he in the league anymore?
Actually,
Jets
he's with the Jaguars now, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Coughlin's gonna set him straight, but I think he did okay with the Jets in terms of keeping his nose out of trouble there. So yeah, we'll see where Josh lands. I think it'll wind up being the Patriots who end up kind of coughing up something in the trade, especially if through kind of initial talks they don't feel that he'll immediately come there as a free agent. Kind of keeping things a little bit in the New England area. What are your thoughts here on the Jabari Bird incident? Now, here's a guy who I had no idea who he was, but this story is absolutely bonkers. I guess from what I had heard from one of my coworkers, so if this is wrong, this is on him. He played pretty well in summer league and had actually got a contract from the Celtics, and this is basically his first purchase, to sort of say, is getting himself in this shit show.
This is what we can describe as tough look for Jabari Bird. This is a guy who went to Cal, was very good friends with Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
To the point where, I think at this point they're best friends. Your belly is sweating so much.
Yeah, that's what I took.
Well, maybe if you didn't sit directly in the sun, you'd be all right.
You know.
Jabari Bird is a guy that shares an apartment with Jaylen Brown in Boston or wherever, the greater Boston area. And they're close to the point where Jaylen Brown's mother is one of the people who has been assigned to monitoring him on his house arrest that he has, or his home confinement. Jaylen Brown's mom is flying in to watch him. This sucks, to be honest. Jabari Bird was a guy who was scrapping for minutes, and he played so well in the summer leagues, and he really earned his spot on the roster. And you're the 13th guy on a Celtics team that is one of the deepest teams in recent history, and you do something like this. It's one of those things where you just hope it's not true. And I think at this point there's too much to the story for it to not be true. Getting accused of choking, anyone 12 times is crazy. And the fact that another point in the story, it's the girl said that she escaped because he suffered like seizure-like symptoms. You got to wonder, what was he on?
Yeah.
You got to be on something, or did this guy just fucking snap that bad where he couldn't control himself?
And so, for those not in the know here, basically, Jabari Bird, as we were saying, Boston Celtics guard, who had just earned a contract from the Boston Celtics after, a pretty, stellar performance in the summer league. And so basically he has been accused of strangling a woman at least a dozen times over a 4-hour period last Friday from September 13th. I do not want to do the math on that, so that was actually just last Friday from today. According to prosecutors, the woman told police that Bird strangled her and threw her against a wall after they got into an argument at Bird's residence. She said Bird would strangle her until she went limp, allow her to catch her breath, and begin choking her again. She also said that Bird kicked her multiple times in the stomach and dragged her away from the door when she tried to leave before shutting her into a bathroom. The woman told police, as you were just saying, she was able to leave after Bird passed out with seizure-like symptoms. Okay, so, and then he kind of basically made a statement saying that he's taking time away from the team to deal with his legal and medical issues, and, he apologized to kind of people. But, and this is what I was just reading was from ESPN. This is tough, and I think in sports overall, we've had a string of kind of hearing about these incidents of domestic abuse. I know CTE isn't really something that so far seems to be correlated to basketball, but that's kind of exactly what I was thinking of as I was hearing about this, just in terms of like something that can kind of give you that fit of rage to be capable of doing something like that. That's hopefully I think the first thing that needs to be said is that I hope the woman is okay and gets the treatment both physically and I'm sure psychologically, because I can't imagine going through something like that where you're literally being choked until you're like,
and let's not sleep on the fact that this is an NBA player who's gigantic, probably.
Yeah.
He's like one of the shorter guys, I feel like, on the Celtics, and he's probably like 6'5". So
that's nuts. And again, it was kind of like a story that was like, for me, it was like, number one, who is this, and number two, what the fuck? Like, how is something like that even possible? But I don't know. I guess we'll kind of find out more as more gets revealed about kind of what was going on with him. Because, again, you'd hope that naturally this isn't something that someone is capable of, and that there has to be some type of medical reason.
As we sit here outside enjoying the beautiful wilderness, you took your shirt off. I'm staring at your chest at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Did you plan on never shaving your chest again when you got the text on your chest? Because you can't read it with all the taco meat there.
To share with our beautiful listeners about my chest shaving habits, I do shave every once in a while.
Yeah, it looks
it's
like
not,
once in a while.
it's not a primary on my list. As,
I feel
usually
like
my
you'll
chest
at
isn't
least
out.
have to shave where the text is.
just one side of my chest.
Yeah. Because I could see the New Jersey Devils thing.
Yeah.
That's no issue.
Well, for you,
that'd be like getting a tattoo on your head and then just letting the hair grow over it and like just showing a little bit.
Some people do that, I think. For the like 2% of people crazy enough to get
my friend Valerie used to date a guy that had a cross tattooed on the back of his head. Shout out Valerie.
Yeah, shout out Valerie's. But I feel like that's just another level. So we're talking about literally on your head, like where your hair grows.
It was on the back of his head.
Like for the listeners who can't see us. Yeah, that's nuts. Like, did he do like some type of like MMA? Because I feel like that's
no,
exactly
I don't think
the
so.
type of person.
He's like a funny kid too. So I don't. It's like kind of a serious tattoo to get.
Yeah, like I mean, a cross can literally go anywhere.
Just a plain cross, just like a black.
Just a
cross,
nice T. That's
just
it.
a T, back of the head.
Yikes, that's kind of scary. Goodness. So I really can't get away from talking about this. I believe I'd like to credit myself for saying a few episodes ago that I really did think that the Bills weren't going to win more than like 2 games. And I wrote on here to take a very common phrase from you and looking at the spelling of a word. I wrote here for this topic that you can't spell Bills without 2 L's.
That's a fact.
And I wanted to talk about this because I really wanted to just spell out everything that's been the Bills over the past year or so.
Year?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
25 years.
Well, basically, so yeah. So that's a nice alley-oop into going into that. So here's a team that before last season hadn't made the playoffs, I think, since like the late 90s. I don't have the exact year.
You have to start with
early 90s?
Not 1, not 2, not 3. 4 straight Super Bowls in a row.
Oh,
anytime you talk Bills, first top
start with that.
It should be like your elevator pitch, like, hi, my name's James Peckham, I've lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. That's what, until the Bills win a Super Bowl, we lost 4 in a row. Shout out to my alarm. We lost 4 in a row. You can't talk about the Bills without mentioning that. That's a prereq. That's like when you, I don't know, like, I would never have to do this, neither would you, but like, a guy ends up being like a sex offender, you move somewhere else, and they send a letter out to everybody telling them you're in the neighborhood now. If you're a Buffalo Bills player and you move into a neighborhood, they should send a letter out to everyone that says, the team I played for lost 4 straight Super Bowls.
Check on this new Buffalo Bills fan in this neighborhood. Make sure he or she is okay.
This man suffered 4 straight. Like,
is that like the cause for like all the alcoholism in Buffalo?
And we talked about this before. It's like, all right, you lose 1 in a row. You lose 1, you're like, all right. You go to the next one. We're not going to lose 2 in a row. The third year, I would have bet my house that they weren't losing 3 in a row. And then by the 4th year, it's like, we're going to lose.
Yeah,
like,
I think by the 4th one, you literally you try to talk to the refs and the commissioner and be like, can we not play this?
I got to get this guy's name. I'm pretty sure their kicker.
Oh, was that a
shanked
wide left?
Yeah, he shanked like a 35-yard field goal. And they lost.
Goodness. The only, and this is really off the top of my head, I know the Giants was one. I think the Cowboys was another. And then I think it might have been Washington, too. Like, just the whole NFC East.
Wide right.
And who was that against?
The Giants.
The Giants.
47-yard field goal to end the Super Bowl.
And I've seen the video. It's like, they say wide, but it looked like pretty close. Like I don't know what he was doing on the kick that just pushed it. Like it wasn't like all the way wide the entire time. It was just like going and then. Whew.
And this could have changed the course of history. Because
Oh, of course.
I think this
Jim
was
Kelly, like
this was their first or second Super Bowl, so it wasn't like the fourth one. It was the first or second. This could have changed everything about. After that miss, they went on to lose the Super Bowl against the Redskins by 13, and then the year after that, they received one of the all-time beatings to the Cowboys. They lost 52 to 17.
Yep, 3 out of 3. I don't know the fourth one, but
52 to 17. So that was the first one. That game where he missed was the first Super Bowl.
Okay, the wide.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is tough.
And Jim Kelly was the QB for all of those, right?
That had to be. Marv Levy was the coach. I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I
He's
feel like
alive?
this has to cause like the coach nightmares to this day.
Marv Levy is still alive. He's
Is he still in
93.
football? I don't know. Okay, never mind. He is not at 93 years old.
So back to the Bills. Let's recap. Now that we've talked about the mandatory, what do you want to tell us about the past 5 or so years with the Bills?
So here was a team that hadn't had their last postseason appearance. I think it was 98. If not 98, it was like 02, 03, something like that. And thanks to Tyrod Taylor, their quarterback, who they benched because they didn't think he was any good, for Nathan Peterman, who
5 picks and a half.
5 picks and a half against the Chargers, who again we're gonna come back to this point, but they're playing the Chargers this week, today, and then they put in Peterman. He threw the 5 picks. They went back to Tyrod Taylor, and the ship got righted. They made the playoffs, and I don't remember who they played, but I thought it was a decent game. But for some reason, Buffalo had it in their mind that Tyrod Taylor wasn't enough, and obviously this put them on a path to go draft a quarterback. But the thing that puzzled me the most is why you would keep Nathan Peterman on your team. So, fast forward, they draft Josh Allen, who
they traded AJ McCarron and kept Peterman.
Well, yeah. So they draft Josh Allen, which in my mind is already the worst quarterback of the 5 that were taken in the first round this year. They get AJ McCarron from the Bengals, and then they had Nathan Peterman. So they have this big QB competition. Somehow Nathan Peterman wins the job. They trade away McCarron to the Raiders, and
who don't need a $5 million a year backup quarterback.
No, but Gruden being Gruden, and so I imagine a world where he just loved his QB camp with AJ McCarron so much that he decided I need this guy. He had to bookmark all the people who he actually enjoyed.
He was a Spider 2Y banana guy, big time.
And arguably Peterman looked worse in the game against Baltimore than he did in that 5 interception game against the Chargers, and so basically, I mean, I don't really know what his stat line was, but they got smacked by the Ravens, who are 3 seconds away from being purely trash. It's 40-something. They put in Lamar Jackson. This was absolutely. And then I saw people, Bills, oh, this is a tough loss, but no, your season is over. When you lose to the Ravens, 40-something to 3, then your season's done. Grand opening, grand closing. And so it was so bad that after one game, after one start, they've already benched Nathan Peterman and put in Josh Allen,
mind you,
which they cut
a promo for Peterman.
They did?
Yeah, before the season, they cut a promo for him being the starter, and he lasted one game.
And so now, they've been saying all summer long that, in choice words, that they don't feel that Josh Allen is ready to start, yet Peterman is so bad that they can't even fake throwing him out there. And I wonder if part of them being like, hey, we got to bench this guy, is that they play the same team he threw 5 interceptions to last year today.
How is a team, and this goes back to like it being nice to be a Patriots fan. Last year at the beginning of the year, they had Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
3 guys who have all shown to be proficient at the least NFL quarterbacks. Least being Brissett, best of all time being Tom Brady, Garoppolo in the middle somewhere, still trying to prove himself. But there's no need to even argue this. He's better than Nathan Peterman, and so is Jacoby Brissett.
Where did Nathan Peterman go? Like,
get Nathan Peterman out of my face.
I'm pretty sure this is his second year. So
he
again,
seems like a Pittsburgh quarterback.
They're not even. This isn't even a guy who's been in the league for a few years, and they can throw out the whole, he's a wily veteran. Rough. Started at Tennessee before transferring to Pittsburgh.
Shout out to me.
5th round last year's draft by the Bills.
I think the last good quarterback to come out of Pittsburgh was like Dan Marino.
Born in Jacksonville. Jesus. This is just all the way bad. And wait, I think he has 2 starts. He's 29 completions for 67 attempts, 2 touchdowns with 7 interceptions. That is a 43.2 completion percentage. His passer rating is 25.7, and he has a grand total of 276 yards. He was a 4-star recruit.
Wow.
Coming out of high school. And transferred, I think, after 2 years.
The way my brain
after
works
losing his job
is I hear Tennessee, I hear transfer, and I think of the guy, Jalen Hurts' mom, who was shitting on Alvin Kamara. Mm-hmm. That's just where my brain goes. Shout out to her, all-time idiot.
Tua looked amazing, by the way. Like,
Tua, yeah.
That's not even close. I kind of felt bad before, like, oh man, it sucks. Like,
he's going to Furman.
29 and 29-2 was his record, and I mean, I get it. It's Alabama,
Jalen Hurts to Furman.
It's not hard to be that great. And obviously, he's not a guy that you really project as going to be a quarterback at the next level, just because he's mostly like a runner. Man, Tua looks amazing.
I have 2 legitimate guesses to where he's going to go, not Furman. One is he's going to go to FAU, with Lane Kiffin, or the other one is he's going to go to FSU, because FSU loves taking quarterback, 5th-year senior quarterback transfers and trying to make them something. I feel like they've done it 5 years in a row, and it never works.
FSU is in pure...
Who's the bum they took from Notre Dame?
Quarterback?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot he was with them. Is he with them?
He's going now.
Malik
no,
Zaire?
not Malik. It was before him. He stunk.
Quarterback. Is it quarterback?
Yes. Alright, I got you.
I'm skimming.
This is tough.
Jesus. So yeah. Anyway, like, I mean, I guess we've transitioned into college football.
Everett Golson.
Oh yeah.
Stunk.
Yeah. Yikes. I forgot about that. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. That happened. Who's a bigger scammer between Willie Taggart and Chip Kelly?
Both of them.
I mean, I don't know what. So Chip has lost to Cincinnati and Fresno State, and then a nice. I feel like there was someone else, but good old Willie Taggart.
Guys.
True. Guys. Yeah, blame Eugene. And then Taggart's lost to Virginia Tech, which I mean ACC. I'll give you that. But you got smacked by Syracuse. Like,
I will say, I saw this on Twitter. They were showing the temperature of the game.
Yeah, I did see that.
It was 87 degrees inside the Carrier Dome. Carrier is an air conditioning brand. That is tough marketing for your stadium to be named after an air conditioning brand, but your air conditioner does not work.
No, not pumping enough
It's bad.
air, and
That'd be like having like no reception at like the T-Mobile Arena. Like it's just...
I feel like that would happen at T-Mobile. Like that's exactly what.
No, that'd be at the Metro PCS Dome.
I feel like that definitely
Allegedly.
has to be a stadium by now. We got to make the Cricket Wireless.
The Cricket Wireless Coliseum.
That would definitely be in like Jacksonville.
Oh. Or like that'd be like the home of the like College World Series. They'd smack it in like Omaha, Nebraska or something.
Ooh, shout out to just fly over America and other places that don't actually matter in America. And shout out to our listeners in Omaha and Jacksonville. Okay, and so while we're still on,
you just turn on.
Right, nice, yeah. I love the sound. This is everything you get in the world. So speaking of the Chargers, too.
Breaking news. Steven Jamina just texted the podcast group. I was smacked last night. Steven, I want to let you know. Yesterday was my birthday.
Yes.
And I still woke up. I rose to the occasion today to be here for this podcast. So when you're going back listening, I want you to know that you can go fuck yourself. Because me and Ty are here. We were both out drinking last night.
That's right.
And we're here. We're battling the elements. Ty's belly button has 2 gallons of sweat in it. We are out here. There's flies landing on my toes. I got pollen up my nose. I'm sniffling. We got AC. We're battling the conditions. And you want me to feel bad because you were smacked probably at the Meadowlands losing all your money?
Off E&J and and pineapple juice.
He drinks
which is
E&J?
actually like it was like a good concoction. Listen,
that's one of those get him out of here. I'm not going to cancel him, but I'm considering.
He's like a 49-year-old black man.
Are all his friends just 6'5", or is he just really, really short? All his photos.
That's the picture with John?
I don't know. I feel like every photo I see with him, it's like, oh, my day one, and it's just like 5 guys that are 6'3", and then him.
Well, if it's like John and Tony, John's like 6'3" and Tony's 6'9", so
okay.
But
you can't do this to yourself. That's a bad look.
Yeah, that's John. Yeah, John's like good 6'3".
And there was another one that was like,
King Solomon. Shout out King Solomon catches his albums. I think his Instagram is just like King Solomon, SALO. I mean, since I'm plugging him, let me get it right.
He went to see Ugly God last night?
I'm Maddie Smack coming from an Ugly God concert. Yep,
he said he woke up on the floor.
His floor or someone else's floor? King Solomon, that's KINGSALOMON_. Gentleman that went to the prestigious Seton Hall Prep, owns, or is a co-owner of a studio, I believe the studio's in Elizabeth, has, some pretty good music out, has definitely gotten better as he's been doing it, and definitely salute him for continuing that. And then obviously I can't plug my music friends without also plugging my dear friend Nonsense, Escape Velocity. It's on Spotify, and then let me get his stuff. Look, we're out here with the promo too.
I'm not a free ads guy, so we better hurry up on this.
Okay.
I'm trying to get paid.
And then his, I don't know if those guys are in position to pay us just yet, but and his Instagram is Nonsense Hip Hop, just as if you would think that's so. All right, cool. That's our ads for today. Yes, so Chargers. I need them to write a letter, and I can write it for you, Chargers, for a small nominal fee. you gotta apologize to the city of San Diego and like beg for them to take you back. You playing in this like 1,000 like seat soccer arena in Carson, California is not cutting it. Like, I get that there's this arrangement that you're supposed to go play with the Rams when that gets finished, but nah, like, we can't do this. And then the stadium is filled with everyone else's fans. They were playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Missouri to California is not like right next door. This isn't like a 3-hour trip. Like, that entire stadium was a sea of red. How?
And it's going to keep happening because LA is a vacation destination. So everybody's, during your team's week in LA, everybody's going to book a trip to LA because, you know why? Tickets are going to be cheap. And nobody want to go to the games over there. So can you imagine the scalping situation over there?
People are like, please, I'll just take $10.
Yeah.
Like,
it's got to be the easiest
get this
tickets
off
to
my
ever be
hands.
scalped.
And I'll include the link to most of these things in the video too. But this is just, it's sad. And I mean, when they first announced this move last year, the Chargers didn't have that bad of a year. And obviously so did the Rams, but obviously the Rams have the history of being in LA. The Chargers were in LA for literally their first year of existence, and then they have been in San Diego ever since. And this is just the Spanos family just being dweebs. Yeah. Which I'll definitely have to set up my lineup and my DraftKings lineup, looking to get a Dwamina size bag while only paying $1 to enter this contest.
This is a revenge game. He's playing against his former team, the Eagles.
Yes. That should be a pretty good game. I don't personally feel like the Eagles are, as good as advertised. Nick Foles is a pseudo Bucks killer. Shout out to the original one, Case Keenum. And we do have some injuries, but I think we'll have Jason Pierre-Paul playing. Deshaun's there, and it's home opener. So I am going to be an irrational Bucks fan and call a W for us.
The hardest thing while constructing this lineup right now is not taking everyone who had an outrageous.
Yeah. It's a week-to-week league, and you want to like kind of overreact to week one, but then just your luck, you'll pick a guy, and then he does absolutely nothing, which. This week, Dwa, if you're listening, I would probably say don't take Josh McCown, but, I mean, do you, King?
Josh McCown he was going to take?
Oh, sorry, Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick. We had Josh McCown, too, so.
I think I have now been forced into taking Fitzpatrick.
I'll have to do that. Alright, in other news, I think we can kind of
Let's
get some stuff out of here and
smooth transition NFL again.
Okay.
Ereck Flowers. Is he
turnstile?
They need to call him the Hinge because that man. They go next to him and he just opens right up.
I took a screenshot.
He has got to be the worst offensive lineman in the NFL.
And he was like, "Oh, I definitely."
Think of how bad it is to be an offensive lineman and people are calling for your job. That's one of those positions where it's supposed to be cushy.
Yep.
You play 7 years, you retire young, you lose a ton of weight when you're done, and you're chilling.
No.
This guy, if he wasn't a first-round pick, he'd be gone already. Is he trying? Does he not like Eli Manning? Does he have beef with Saquon Barkley?
The video, I took a screenshot, but the video that I saw, it was like just they made a GIF out of it, and it was bad. It was like
bad.
Eli must have like literally like had sex with his like wife and his mom and like his sister. I was like, yo, what are you there? Like are you like physically and mentally there? Like I didn't understand it. And again, like the offensive line, I mean the tackles get, kind of like a bad film session when they're going up against like a really dominant defensive end. So I think I'll also put that in the links, in the video links too. It's the defensive end is like going by Ereck Flowers, and he literally like sticks his leg out to try to trip him.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. And I mean, what was this? The Jaguars. So like, I mean, they have a really good defensive line, but man, this is funny. Jesus. And so, I mean, again, and it's the Giants too, and so, Giants fans always here to, get people smooth up out of here if they're trash, but it's hilarious. I can't wait to see what he does next. It almost makes you, like, appreciate your offensive line, your team's offensive line that much more, that they're not that level of bad. Donovan Smith, I love you. Thank you for not being this terrible. They took him like 9th. I forget what year that was, but like he was, I think, the first offensive lineman off the board, and for the reason of protecting Eli, because they had gone through a few years of just like Eli getting dogged because they didn't have a run game, and then people were bashing Eli for typical Eli-dom, but he doesn't have a run game or protection, and it looks like they might have got that wrong on Ereck Flowers there.
That's a bad bit.
Very much
That's
so.
Robert Gallery-esque.
Robert Gallery. I wonder what he's doing with his life. He might have to be our picture for the video. Which I've had a very, like, I've had very much a blast, like, coming up with these things.
How many topics do we got left?
We're gonna have to go soon because I'm dying. All right, let's just finish up with good old boxing here. Okay, so while we were out celebrating Mr. Peckham's born day yesterday, we didn't have the opportunity of watching Canelo Triple G Part 2, but from everything that I saw on Twitter, and then the very funny video, which I'll also put in the link, of Stephen A. Smith and Teddy Atlas definitely being on drugs. It seems as if it was a very kind of even fight. I did see one Twitter user, I'm sorry that I'm skimming on who you are, who said that they actually thought that it was really Canelo, and that, the commentators were being very, I guess,
partial?
Not partial, but just very nice to Triple G, and kind of overstating how close it was. But we will definitely look at the highlights after this. But it sounds as if basically just regardless from the first fight to this fight being really close, that we're definitely going to get a part 3 at some point. And so, what do you think of that? What do you think of this as something that's, good enough to have a part 3 and be, just like a marquee match that people were looking to see?
Yeah, so I think with these two guys, what's tough about wanting to see a third fight is that in neither fight, either guys got knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
People want to see that vulnerability,
especially for those two fighters.
Yeah, two guys who are supposed to be power punchers. I want to see them go down.
Yeah.
I want to see somebody go down. I want to see somebody rock. Canelo was rocked a little bit in the 11th round this last night's fight, but was never in any real danger, and that's what I want to see. This is a fight, where they'll make money off it again. They're not going to make a ton of money because the interest isn't there. I mean, Canelo's a Mexican fighter. They're always going to back their fighters, and they sell a lot of pay-per-views because of it, but it's not going to be Mayweather, Pacquiao-esque.
Yes.
Shout out to that transition.
Yes, that was beautiful.
Which, part 2,
yeah,
says Floyd.
December, I'm hearing?
Here in December. So Floyd was in Japan, as was Manny Pacquiao. They saw each other at some type of concert, some type of event.
I gotta know what this concert was, if it was a concert.
And they came up in the video. Is the funniest video I've ever seen. I'll tell you why in a second. But they come up to each other, and Pacquiao's trying to speak English, and he's saying the belt. And he's going, the belt. I have the belt. And Floyd says, "I'm going to take it from you." And then they agree to fight one another, and and then Floyd says, "I don't want to hear any excuse about your shoulder again," because that was Pacquiao's excuse in the first fight. And the sneaky funniest part of the video was at the end of the video, they show Pacquiao walking away, and the camera pans to him. There's like 6 Asian girls all over him. All over him. They're like, "Can I get a picture? We love you, we love you." This guy,
my man.
You have Floyd Money Mayweather right there, and then you got Manny Pacquiao, and all the Asian chicks were eating Pacquiao up.
Listen,
eating him up.
This is why I'm rooting for him to win.
No chance.
My man Manny. I'm okay. So obviously, I mean, you have to watch. I mean, there's no not watching that, especially with Mayweather coming out, and I think there's so many people, and I think 50 Cent is included in this population here, who just wants to see Mayweather lose because of the record, because of his confidence that he has in his abilities, and I think there's been a lot of critics who have always pointed to Pacquiao being kind of his best bet in terms of competition, at least when Pacquiao was very much in the prime of his career. And I do wish that the fight had happened a lot sooner than it did, because I forget who that fight was against, and I may be wrong in my recollection of this, but I think this was after Pacquiao had got knocked out and he fell out of the ring, or maybe that might have been after the Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
That was after. Okay, so never mind on that. But basically, I mean, he had obviously been a little bit over the hill by the time that fight happened. And there's people who think that obviously there's been steroids that's been, part of Pacquiao's rise too. So that's a lot. But I think it does says a lot about Pacquiao and the respect that Mayweather has if he's going to come out of retirement when he doesn't need to, to fight Pacquiao. And I think some people who've been pocket watching for Mayweather, may disagree and say that he needs to fight because they think he's in financial trouble. But either way, I'm going to be excited to see the fight. And I think in my typical hateration, I'll be in my heart rooting for Pacquiao, but I think my mind knows that there's no shot. So that's where.
All right, let's wrap this
up. I come. All right. So again, we'll be back next week, hopefully with a not smack dwa. Maybe try to get Marcus and also try to get some other guests too, since Jamal is never coming back. He's in Thailand, and I think he's going to marry the woman that gave him a foot massage that he sent me in the Snapchat that I received a few days ago.
Oh, he went to the spa?
Yeah, he did. So I think we'll need a fourth co-host here. But again, thank you too for just the people who have been supporting. I have kind of gone into check on the past 2 videos, and we've gotten a new high and then a new high from the last one in terms of viewers. So thank you to everybody who is sharing. Obviously I think a big part of this is just us chilling, and we hope that you kind of get those vibes, and obviously the more we do this, the better that we're going to get. So other than that, I'm going to get out of the sun because I'm melting, and deuces.
Later. What we got for views?